Tax strategy workshop comes with a triple your money back guarantee. Triple. 3 times. Invest $1, we'll show you how to save 3. All right. Ready to go? All right. I thought I was gonna have to do a bigger push for everyone to do tax strategy stuff. I'm used to a different audience, sorry. No, not asshole. I wouldn't say asshole. Asshole is someone who does something to someone else. You're just doing this to yourself. That's called something else.
Hey everyone, I'm Teresa DeFord with the DeFord Law Firm. I'm in the Woodlands, Texas. I have a family law firm there. Last year we grossed $2.5 million and are on pace to do 2.7 this year. We have 15 employees today. As everyone said, that kind of fluctuates from day to day. We hit the $1 million mark in 2022. In about mid-year in 2023, my C-suite told me, hey, you're making money, you're increasing your revenue, but you're not increasing it. Your capacity is way over what you're actually bringing in. So we sat down and looked at billable hours. I was not tracking our billable hours. I was just tracking the money that was coming in the door. So we sat down and created this spreadsheet to track for each production person, each attorney. Our paralegals are on the top there, the attorneys are on the bottom, and I'm going to show you kind of how this has evolved over time, what we've done with it. But this was in August of 2023. I had a few people that were kind of new, so they were ramping up a little bit. But as you can see, we color coded this to look at the attorneys and the paralegals should be doing 6 hours a day, 30 hours a week. And we color coded it, and there was a heck of a lot of red, a fair amount of yellow, and not very much green, so that people were not meeting the hours. In the beginning, I was the only one looking at this, and that was a big mistake. I realized that about a year in, we started sharing this with the team. So if we look at, let's just look at May of 2024, we started sharing this with the team. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, people started realizing the ones that were not making their numbers, they started making their numbers. So we started to get more and more green over time. We would make notes off to the side saying, if somebody was out on vacation, if they were out sick, so that, if there were valid reasons for them not making their numbers in one particular week, we were tracking that. And if this was a pattern, if they were continuing to do this, the first line was that our mentoring attorney would go talk to them and find out, hey, what's going on? What can we do to help you? What do you need from us to make sure that you're making their numbers? If that didn't work, if it continued on, then I was the one who would be talking with them. We also evolved this to start tracking the number of matters per paralegal and per attorney. So I now use this to kind of keep track for hiring purposes. Are we getting to a point where our attorneys and paralegals are overloaded? We kind of have figured out that between 35 and 40 per employee is a good sweet spot. If we're getting much over 40, we're starting to burn out and things aren't getting done. So I can use that to say, okay, do I need to hire another paralegal? Do I need to hire another attorney? I also use that on a weekly basis as we're closing cases out. If one attorney is now down to 30, they're getting the next round of cases. So it helps me plan out who's doing what. Let's see. Oops. So now we are up to, get to the right spot, May of 2025. And for the most part, we are in the green. Well, I say that, and I see a little red there. So we've had some people that have now started. There's some newer people that are ramping up. We're adding their requirements in, and as we ramp them up as well, we kind of figure out, well, okay, on the first week, maybe they're only getting 5 cases, 10 cases, 20 cases, so that we can kind of build that up over time. And we're using that to build out how many cases, how many people we need to hire, and how much revenue that we can bring in. And that's my share.
Could you quantify for us how some of the ways that this has paid for itself?
Yeah, I mean, same number of
Is
employees,
your microphone on?
same number of employees from August 23-ish till now, not much change there, and we've grown another $1 million.
So you were sitting on $1 million of extra capacity.
Correct.
So that extra $1 million of revenue that you brought in cost how much for acquisition? How much did it cost? What was the marketing cost to bring in that extra $1 million of revenue?
I don't know the number for that. Maybe zero. I mean, yeah.
No, it wasn't zero. They had to bring in more cases and more business. There was just people sitting there already getting paid. The cost of production was zero, right? The cost of goods sold on that extra $1 million was basically the costs were already being paid for. You follow what I'm saying? So it wasn't you don't have an extra $1 million of profit, correct?
Yeah, right.
How much extra profit do you have on the extra $1 million of revenue?
I don't know the number there. Yeah,
You have a CFO?
I do.
Okay. I would encourage you to investigate and find out what is the real profit on that extra $1 million. I'm guessing, what's your average case? What is the cost of acquiring a case?
The cost of acquisition is about $100.
It costs you $100 to acquire a case.
Yeah.
With an average case value of how much? So $1 million divided by 11,000 is how much? $1 million divided by $1,000 by $1 million divided by 11,000 is like what, 90? Sound about right? 90? Okay, so 90 times 100 is how much? 9,000, right? So you spent probably an extra $9,000 to get about 90 additional cases with an average value of $11,000, brought in an extra $1 million of revenue. Yes. But the cost to work those cases, the COGS were already being absorbed by the previous cases, which means probably something like 990,000-ish dollars of that extra $1 million should be profit. Is that about right?
That should be. That's not what I put in my pocket. But yeah.
Why not?
That's a whole nother question.
How much were you putting in your pocket before you had that extra $1 million?
Probably about, I think I put $40,000 extra in my pocket the year before.
Okay. Are you working with a CFO from How to Manage?
Yes.
Okay. Something's very, very screwy here. Before you put the extra $1 million of gross revenue, before you brought in the extra $1 million of gross revenue, yes?
Yes.
Revenue's worth $3 million, they went to $4 million.
Well, that wasn't my revenue. It was 1.6 and went to 2.5.
I'm sorry, went from 1.6 to 2.5. When it was at 1.6, how much total owner benefit are you taking out of the firm?
Not much at that time. It was, I think that year was 40.
Fine. So you basically at 1.6 or whatever, you were breaking even.
Pretty much.
And you were breaking even because you were carrying the costs of a $2.5 million firm supported by only a $1.5 million firm.
Yeah.
But you were breaking even.
Yeah.
Okay. So you brought in an extra $1 million in revenue. You should have something like an extra $800,000 or $900,000 of total owner benefit there.
Right.
Did other costs go up materially?
We did increase our space, so some costs went up there. I don't think
Okay.
it was probably material and enough that's gonna change that number.
How much extra are you paying for space? An extra $5,000 a month?
Yeah.
Great. Well, there's $60,000. You still have an extra $800,000 of total owner benefits that's missing from your bank account. Where is it?
So I did get about $300,000 TOB that year, last year. So now we're
8,765. Now you're $500,000 still missing.
right. It's standing right here right now. I don't know. So something I need to investigate.
Yeah, you got to go find $500,000.
Thank you.
Are you doing profit first?
Not to the extent that I need to be.
What does not to the extent that I need to be mean?
Meaning, until I sat with you in the last ISI in Napa, I didn't really comprehend that profit first should be treated as an expense. I was still, I was still with the plan of putting money away, but not.
You were treating
doing it
profit first as
as an
saving money, whatever's left over, because you
Exactly.
didn't read the book.
Exactly. Well, I read it, but I
No,
didn't.
you didn't
really-
read the book. You can't convince me you read the book and you came away with such a fundamental misunderstanding of it.
I misunderstood it. Yeah.
Okay. So you should be doing like, I mean, geez, you should be doing 15% profit first at this point. Who's your CFO?
Andrew Million.
Okay, would you please send him an email as soon as he's down and say, I just got off the hot seat and Arjan thinks that there's $500,000 of profit somewhere in my business. Where is it? Please help me go find it.
I will do that.
Because I broke even on $1.2 million. I didn't materially increase my expenses on $2.5 million. That means most of the extra $1 million should be profit. Do you understand what you're saying to him?
Yes.
Go find $500,000 today.
Okay.
Like, go. $500,000. Huh?
Thank you.
I mean, you're not paying me an extra $500,000. I could solve that problem for you. We could. He'll solve it for 100. I'll solve it for 500.
Why?
All right. All right. Who's next? Yeah, let's do the survey. Alex, put the survey up. There we go. Joel, Paul, Jennifer, and Teresa. While you're doing that, I gotta make a phone call. We all done? Done, not done? Yes, done. Okay, great. Not done yet? We're done. Great. Jennifer.
Is Jen McCaskill. I am a divorce and family lawyer in New Jersey, down the shore. I opened my firm in October of 2009 after I had gotten laid off after working for about 2 years in a firm in New Jersey. Before that, I had been in DC for 5 years before going home to Jersey. I was me, myself, and I for the first 5 years of my law firm. I joined How to Manage in July of 15. My revenue at that time was $213,000 in 2015. The firm broke 7 figures in 2021. We did 1.25. In 2024, we did 1.9. Currently, we're still on track for 1.9. We've spent the entire first quarter in the red. I have an associate that quit suddenly. I've hired a couple people. I have an associate who just went out on a maternity leave, and I am going to have childcare per Vanessa in our last ISI meeting. So when this assignment came of doing a share of something that's really working, I'm like, well, shit, I feel like everything fucking sucks right now. What do I have to share? One of the things that's been going on with the cash crunch that has been beneficial is my CFO, Jose, just did an analysis literally last week on marketing and our marketing spend. And what he found, one of the things he found was that in the first quarter of